glucose spikes do promote weight gain, and this is why. So insulin is the storage hormone, right? So this is what happens when you eat. When you eat, you have glucose in the bloodstream. When you have glucose in the bloodstream, the pancreas releases insulin. When the pancreas releases that insulin, the insulin helps the glucose get into the cells as opposed to the bloodstream, right? So when you have glucose spikes, that means there's a spike in your blood sugar. There's a spike in the glucose that's in your blood. So now the insulin is going to be in the blood. But once the insulin gets all of the glucose into the cells, the ones that can't get into cells turn into glycogen, which is your short-term energy. And then the ones that aren't turned into glycogen turn into triglycerides or fat. So now you have your fat cells, which is long-term storage, the glycogen, which is short-term storage, and then the glucose that's in the cells, which is your immediate energy, right? But the insulin doesn't just instantly go away once it stores everything. It stays in the system for a while. And the higher the insulin, the less you're going to be able to actually burn fat, because high insulin means that the lipolysis is not turned on. Lipolysis is you turning fat into energy. High insulin means that the hormone-sensitive lipase is turned off. That is what actually turns the fatty acids into the energy. So the process is off and the hormone that turns it on is off. And lipoprotein lipase is turned on. And that is what is putting glucose as stored fat, right? So glucose spikes inherently increase insulin, inherently will stop you from losing weight. That's why it doesn't matter what kind of calorie deficit you're in. If you have high insulin, you're not going to lose weight. The reasons calorie deficits work is because you're probably not eating any glucose, which means that you don't have any insulin in the body. And because that insulin is lower, now you're able to burn the fat. But it's not the actual calorie deficit that's burning the fat. It's the sensitivity that's burning the fat.